Hi everybody, what's up and welcome back. So today's episode of the 25 Days of True Crime I have for you is about Karina Holmer. Now, if you don't know who she was an au pair that lived in Boston and she was found brutally murdered. So Karina, basically what she wanted to do ever since she was a younger kid is she wanted to travel. And she finally was able to after she won $1,500 off of a Swedish lottery scratch ticket. Now, she used this money in order to go to America, to the United States. She was a very headstrong woman and she always dreamed of seeing the world. Well, a person that really wants to travel, she wanted to go with best intentions of life. Well, and all its unfortunates about this is that she would lose her life. But so when she came to Boston, she went to find a job, and she would find a job as an au pair to a couple. And basically, she would take care of the couple's son and daughter. And with her taking care of the couple's children, the father, now he was a commercial photographer, so he would stay at his loft during the week, and on the weekends he would go to the family home. Well, then the family home was in Dover, which is about 15 minutes outside of Boston. So Karina, this weekend, now this is the weekend we're going to be talking about, is the 21st of June of 1996. This is the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, which is a giant thing for Sweden. Her being Swedish herself, this weekend, this night in particular, is one where she really feels like she's at home. She's having a good time. She's going out with her friends. So her being able to stay at her boss's loft on the weekends gave her the freedom to go out and have fun with her friends and go party and go meet new people. And this weekend in particular, she was going to a club called Zanzibar, which very tightly packed with people because it's a summer night. People want to have fun, they want to dance, they want to sing, and Karina was very, very happy to do so. She was very happy to be out there with her friends and to party and just have the time of her life. Well, unfortunately, there's a lot of contradicting statements when it comes to what exactly happened to Karina that night. Now, we do know that she was with friends, but what we don't know is what happened after the clubs closed until last being able to see her in an alleyway, then until when she was discovered. So it's about 2 a.m. when the bars close. Also, the MBTA closes, which, if you don't know what that is, basically it's the MBTA is public transportation. Obviously, you have to pay for it, but it closes at a certain time every morning, reopens just a few hours later. But if you didn't take that, then you took a taxi, and a lot of people would just end up walking. Well, since it's such a popular night, it's a hot summer night, there's a lot of people that are out, so it was very easy for people to lose where Karina was. With that being said, the 23rd of June of 1996, a homeless man was searching for food and something to drink in a dumpster, and now this dumpster was located in Fenway in the Back Bay area in an alleyway. The man then ripped open a trash bag and he saw a woman's arm. He immediately reported it to the police. Police then, when they arrived, would discover that it was the upper half of a female body in the trash bag, and her lower half was not in the dumpster, and her body had been mutilated. Now, I will say this, that we do not know if she was clothed. We do not know the actual state of her body, other than that it was mutilated and she was cut in half. Specifically, her body was cut in half through the spine. That is all we know. They have not released a lot of things when it comes to the state of her body when it was found. The only people that know is that homeless man and the cops, and obviously the coroner and the ME. Nobody else really knows what the state of her body was. They were very, like, tight-lipped when it came to the state of her remains, or of her partial remains. So the discovery would be featured on the news, and police would then receive a call from Frank and Susan, which was her employers. They informed the police that Karina was missing. Her friends also told the police that she didn't return to the loft that night after being out at the bars. Police would go on to confirm that the body did belong to Karina, and Frank and Susan were devastated that their au pair had been murdered. So the distance between the club Zanzibar and where Karina was a straight route. It was 1.3 miles down Boylston Street, and it was literally like a straight shot. She had been strangled to death with some type of ligature. There was rope marks on her neck, and then she was then dismembered. Her body was cut in a way that required only her spine to be cut, which was at the middle of her torso, right below her ribs and above her pelvis. That is really like all that was released. Police believe that a saw was used to cut her in half. Her body was completely cleaned, and there was no sign of a struggle. The only piece of evidence other than what belonged to Karina was a partial fingerprint that was found on the bag. The investigation when it came to her case was very difficult. Even though many people saw her that night, it was really hard to determine exactly where she was because, again, like I stated before, there was a lot of contradictory statements that happened. The friends that went to the club with her, they left before her. Two of them left with the man they met. The third friend was so drunk she passed out, and then afterwards left with a bouncer. A few people remember Karina inside the club, and she was intoxicated. Other people saw her outside the club talking to different people. Accounts from people included her dancing with a homeless man, talking to a man with a white dog, and they were both wearing matching Superman shirts. And her also walking up Tremont Street outside of Zanzibar. Now, her walking up Tremont Street is close to where her body would later be found. So, I mean, that would be kind of like a solid clue, but again, nothing they can really go on. Another person also believed that they saw her getting into a car with somebody else. And they believed that she left with a man to go to another party. So what is clear is that she left Zanzibar and was in a large alleyway outside of it with hundreds of other partygoers. Zanzibar had a shared alleyway, and at closing time, lots of other clubs were also closing at the same time, so there was tons of people out. And this was around 3 a.m., 2:30, 3 a.m. Karina would try to re-enter, but the club was closing. And it's where she went after that is not really clear. So there was a few people that would be questioned in relation to her murder, but nobody would be arrested. They searched multiple apartments near the club, near where the remains were found. Again, nothing. So, police would question her boss, Frank. They wanted to find out what made Karina want to cut her trip short. And she was due to return home in August. She wrote a letter to her friend Ulrika and told her that something terrible had happened. She didn't say what happened. She just told her that she would tell her when she went home. Karina's sister, Joanna, said that Karina had never mentioned anything to her about any innocent incident that may have happened. She just told her that she wanted to return home earlier than planned. So, police would later search Frank and Susan's home in Dover. Their dumpster, though, was taken literally the day after Karina's remains were found, and it was lit on fire. And ashes that were taken from the trash for analysis by Boston PD, there was no signs of any remains or blood, so that was thrown out the window. There was no involvement there. So, at the time of her murder, Karina was also dating a police officer, and it was determined that he was away that weekend on vacation because he had an alibi. For Karina's case to be solved, people need to actually like talk about what happened to her and not just stay silent and stagnant. The area where Karina was really busy with a lot of people, and yet there's so many contradictory accounts about what happened. The swabs that they took from her mouth, her fingernails, they revealed nothing, and no match was found for that fingerprint on the bag where her remains were found. The rest of her body has never been recovered. A new investigation is needed for this case to be closed. But, like I said, we'll never know who murdered Karina Holmer. So that, my friends, is today's episode of the 25 Days of True Crime, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, you guys.